Yeah, it's Thursday morning. Good morning this morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so today I'll be talking on effective tips for verbal communication. We all communicate with our peers, friends, colleagues, employees, and the rest. So communication is very, very important. Communication is very, very key because people judge you by the way you write, you speak, you act, and everything. So you need to employ good communication, lifestyle for you to pass information effectively to audience, to group of people, and the life. But another thing about communication is a risk. Like if I want to communicate to somebody now, I cannot say 100, I'm not 100% sure of my feedback because I cannot say this is how the person will respond to me. So that's why, like, let me digress a bit. Like, if you go for evangelism, for instance, and you're sharing tracts, of course, you expect everybody to collect the tract from you, and the way some people would not just knock you and not collect the tract, they tell you, don't worry, Jesus will reward you and all that. So you cannot really expect 100% feedback the way you want it from people. So looking at effective tips for verbal communication. So they ask like what is verbal communication, types of verbal communication, tips for verbal communication. Then we're looking at non-verbal communication, which is on the flip side of verbal communication. Then we're comparing verbal and non-verbal communication. So what is verbal communication? Verbal communication involves Formal communication involves using speech to exchange information with others. Usually communicate verbally in face-to-face conversations, meetings, interviews, conferences, speeches, and phone calls are other forms of verbal communication. So in other words, verbal with words has to do with your speech, how you talk to people. So verbal communication makes the process of conveying thoughts easier and faster, and it remains the most successful form of communication. Yet this makes up only 7% of all human communication. Verbal communication is okay, it's not really the first communication we all tend to have as woman. When you give birth to a child, of course, before the child starts talking, the child will try to explain, with hand and everything. But then verbal communication too is also used to convey a message easier and faster. It is very, very fast because as I'm talking, you can hear me. If I say something that possibly can you help me something, she can hear. So it's very, very easy and fast. So it makes up only 7% of all human communication because we have other forms of communication. We have intrapersonal communication, we have interpersonal communication, we have verbal communication and different type of communication. So types of verbal communication. We have written communication and oral communication. So oral communication is the most used form of communication done with words. Verbal communication is nothing but words that come out of our mouth to convey a message or idea via sound. So the various modes of verbal communication are face-to-face discussion, presentation, intercom, message delivered on phones, telephone conversations, radio, translators, Skyping or video chatting, speeches and interviews. All these are forms of oral communication because it has to do with words. You communicate with sound. People can hear what you are saying. Another form of type of verbal communication is the written type of verbal communication. So written communication is the oldest known form of communication. Like because in the olden days, when people want to convey a message, most especially when people are actually not like in these days now like somebody's at Abuja or maybe person that is staying abroad, I can always call the person, I can use video call, I can use WhatsApp call and everything. But then in the olden days it was writing, through letter writing they use, and sending through posters they use to communicate. So I remember then when my dad would tell me that in those days you want to woo a girl, you don't know and you don't want to talk to them. So most times they do writings and all like so any form of communication which is written and documented from the sender to the receiver is known as written communication. So example of written communication include letters, memos, research papers, reports, annual reports, AGM, all those things. Those are type of written communication because they are trying to communicate. So by the time someone picks those reports to read, you already understand what they are trying to say. So tips for verbal communication. One, clarity. But this type of tips that I'm giving here, although communication is very, very wide and broad, but this tips I'm giving is how it has to do with how we communicate with our colleagues, at the workplace. So it's not like outside there, but how we communicate. So number one is clarity. Be as clear and as specific as possible in all verbal communications, and especially when you're asking someone to carry out a task for you. When you want somebody to do something for you, you need to be clear on what the person wants you to do. Because at most times you might think the person understand what you are saying, but if you are not listening to enough, or maybe you are trying to mix up things, the person might not really get you well. And at the end of the day, you get all that's what causes conflict most times in organization, because you tell somebody to do this for me. In your mind or your unconscious mind, you just think the person understand what you are trying to say, but the person does not understand. Probably you tell the person I deliver this thing by Wednesday, and Wednesday you meet the person and say how far na this, and the person say in fact did you tell me Wednesday, I thought it was next week Wednesday, I never knew it was this week Wednesday. So we need to be very, very clear when we want to communicate. So another thing is summarize. If you are not sure that person understands you, either summarize what you have said in different words, or ask them if they understand your message, and then summarize your message in their own words. And I actually include ask them if they understand your message, because some people might actually feel like, why are you asking me, I should repeat what you are trying to say. But if you ask them if they understand, that one will help you to know where they are not really getting it. So if you know that you are talking to somebody, after it's all said and done, there are some key things you want the person to do. So just summarize it and tell the person, okay, this is what I want you to do in the long run. And the person might, if the person does not understand, okay, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? If the person say no, then you can now repeat yourself again in another words, or use simpler terms that the person can relate well with. So another one is observe responses. Observe response to your message. What people are thinking is not always expressed verbally. Read people's thoughts by watching their facial expressions, hand and foot gestures. Look at their eyes for signs of confusion, disagreement, disbelief, persistence or understanding. When you are talking to somebody, observe their way, look at their facial expression, because that is what will tell you if they actually understand what you are trying to convey to them or not. I think because the one time somebody asked me to do something, in my mind I'm like, this is difficult o. But I did not tell him this thing I cannot do, like this is difficult o. But he just saw it, I'm like, you can do it. If everybody here knows it, I don't know what I don't know it, so you can know it. And I was really shocked, like I wonder how I actually express it on my face and all that. So facial expression will actually communicate, to tell you when someone understands what you are trying to say or not. So background noise. If there's a background noise, speak louder or move to a quieter area. So reinforce verbal communication, especially in noisy areas with gestures. So when you're in a noisy environment, so some people might not get to hear you. On Monday morning, I was coming to work, and inside the bus it was very, very noisy. And Victor called me. I could not hear what he was saying, so but then I just had to call the call, because if I pick the call and he actually relate the message to me, I don't understand what he's trying to say. So for me to tell that I don't get what you're trying to say, that's how I have to cut the call, because I don't want it to give expression that this person understand and I'm not doing anything about it. So if there is noise, so it's better you increase your voice, you speak louder so the person can hear you well. You go to a more quiet place. Okay, so the next one is use of voice. So to keep people's attention, modulate your voice. Speaking more loudly or softly, more quickly or slowly increases interest in what you say. Pause before and after a key point to allow it to fully register. Use of tone matters when you're talking to somebody. At times you just know when you need to be loud, when you need to come soft. At times when you're just, especially when you are having a presentation, let me use the outside word and people are sleeping. You can just, raise your voice to shake everywhere. People be like, ah, what's going on? It's not as if something happened, but just want to communicate to make them understand what you are trying to say. So you need to know how to balance the tone of your voice. Don't just talk, with increase, decrease, laugh, do something funny and all that. So eye contact, maintain eye contact with those to whom you are talking. Bear in mind their cultural background, because in some cultures excessive eye contact is a sign of disrespect, and that's to do with Yorubas, mostly. While growing up, my dad would tell me that they don't look at an elder's eye while when they're talking. And some other school of thought will tell you it is boldness. They're trying to tell them they are bold, but some culture will not see it as boldness, they'll see it as disrespectful. But when you are talking to someone, it's always good to maintain eye contact, if not like frequently, but at least try to make person okay, I'm talking to you and all that. So undivided attention. Pay attention. Avoid interruptions. Don't hold two conversations at the same time. If you want somebody to get what you're saying, just like arrange your conversation in a tailor it in one umbrella. Not that you're saying one thing like person and you're saying another thing. So the person will get confused, like what exactly do you want me to do? That's why people I communicate and like, okay, so what are you saying? All this is like, what are you saying? Go, go, go. So don't divide your audience attention. So emphasize important points. To communicate an important point, raise your voice slightly or speak deliberately. Let your body language reflect the importance of what you are saying by leaning forward. Open your eyes wider or using appropriate hand gestures. All this is just for you to communicate or to actually to make your communication more fruitful. So when you are talking to someone, always emphasize the important points. Fine, you have a whole lot of, but I'm very sure there are some key things. That's why I have an uncle, they are talking to you, say, okay, what is it? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? What the boss, it's the key point he wants you. All the other word they are giving it, he's not interested. And that one, that is how he knows how to communicate with people. And I said, let your body language reflect the importance of what you are saying. So as there are some people use hand, to explain what they are saying very well. Some people use something relative, to buttress their point. Open your eyes wider. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? All those things are just body language to convey the message you're trying to pass across. So choose your words. Avoid using but to join sentences. But puts people on the defensive. Because when you tell somebody that, okay, help me to do something, but because the but sounds like it's not really important. What you want them to do is not really important. Like they have alternative. They can decide to do it or decide not to do it. So use and to join sentences. It is far more positive. And where possible, use I messages. Using you makes people defensive. When you say you have to do this, they'll be like, me care. And some just have this one, me, I don't think I can do this thing. So you already put person like, okay, I said this thing. So it's very important to use the I than the you. Because if you use you, people want to, hide under the umbrella and they might not really get results. So I'm talking on non-verbal communication. So non-verbal communication is the process of sending and receiving messages without using words. Verbal communication has to do with words, it has to do with sound. So either spoken or written. Does not use words for communicating anything. Like in non-verbal, you don't use words, you don't use sound to communicate anything. This is also called manual language. So non-verbal communication includes pitch, speed, tone, and volume of voice. It also includes gestures and facial expressions, your body posture, stand and proximity to the listener, your eye movement and contact, and your dress and appearance too. All these things are non-verbal communication. But you are not talking with words, but you are communicating with your body language, your hand, your verbal communication, there are very fewer chance of confusion in verbal communication between the sender and the receiver. But when you are talking to somebody, they don't really get confused. Even if they are confused, you are there to explain to them, to make them understand what you want them to understand. So why non-verbal communication, the chances of misunderstanding and confusion are very much, as the use of language is not done. You are not using, you are not talking, so it's very easy for people to misunderstand what you are trying to say. Like that's that time when you are chatting with somebody and using some emoji, they will be like, what are you saying, what do you want to, you know. Another thing about non-verbal communication is the interchange of the message is very fast, which leads to rapid feedback. It's very fast. No, non-verbal communication is based more on understanding, which takes time, and hence it is comparatively slow. No, communication is based more on understanding, which takes I had to repeat that, so sorry. So the presence for verbal communication, the presence of both the parties at the place of communication is not necessary. You know, as it can be done if the parties are at different locations. You know, because I can use phone to talk to anybody at any, so it's not necessary must be there. So but for non-verbal communication, for an effective non-verbal communication, both the parties must be there at the time of communication. You know, because you know when, okay, that will be after question time. Okay. So another thing is about verbal communication. The documentary evidence is maintained if the communication is formal or written. You know, but for non-verbal, there's no conclusive evidence. So for verbal communication, the interchange of the message is very fast, which leads to rapid feedback. Why am I putting this? Okay, so verbal communication fulfills the most natural desire of humans talk. That means that is desire of everybody. We tend to talk. Nobody is dumb. Nobody is deaf and dumb. You know, so but non-verbal communication, feelings, status, emotions, personalities, etc., are very easily communicated through the acts done by the parties to the communication. Yeah, the 9:24. So do you have any question?
Can you go back to Baba on three for non-verbal? I said for an effective non-verbal communication, both parties must be there. That's one.
I said for effect.
For effective.
Yeah, for me to understand what you know, because wait, okay. I thought you had done with your
You are
question.
saying that your non-verbal communication is complete because of basic communication, like writing. You cannot like that's what
No, no, the under verbal
this
communication.
is not non-verbal communication. Basic communication is about communication. That's something that's from the definition says verbal is based on sound. What's the meaning of verbal? This can you complete this with writing? I don't know.
What is about, because you are trying to convey a thought, like you are talking to somebody, the person is not there actually. But do you know there's a way you will write to me, I will feel that you are there talking to me. Like I'm actually, it's like I'm actually seeing the person.
Now, this is you said now as effective point. It's like for effective, both parties have to be there. Now you just said
And that's what I'm saying, that for effect, no, see,
that's an
no, what I'm saying,
effective
if the person is not there, it's not verbal, but it might not be effective. But because the reason why I said it is effective is because, for instance, like they're chatting with somebody, and I'm trying to give you some expression. That's like even using this emoji most times can confuse somebody because you don't know what the person is trying to say. But if you are wait now, but if you are with me and you know you are seeing me and I'm not talking to you, but I'm giving you some gesture like I do understand what I'm trying to say. I'm saying speak louder. For instance, I want to use emoticon to express some body languages. I will be limited. Even if you want, you think that the person will get or the person will understand. You just feel that the person tends to get it in another dimension and not really what you want that person to understand. Then you now start looking for another emoji that okay, person does not understand this. Then you now use word, okay, this is what I'm saying, or use another emoji that it repeats what you are trying to say. And if the person is looking at you, that's because the person does not understand what you are saying. Then you ask the person, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Pascaline, one person. Pascaline, one person.